What's going on, everybody? Know it's been a while since I've updated, but let's just say it was well worth it. So yeah, I just want to jump straight into it. This is the new setup on the bike. Give you guys a small pan around for a second. Still got the mock-up motor in there. Sorry if you hear me breathing crazy. It's cold up here in Michigan right now, and I'm outside once again shooting a turbo dirt bike video for you guys in a Michigan winter. But anyways, so this is the new setup this time around. Pretty much tried to alleviate a lot of the shortcomings of the last setup. So as you can see, nothing sticks out past the fairings. Let me get on it for you guys. I can actually use all of my seat now. This feels so taboo. No, but seriously, this setup should be a different type of animal. This time around, I do have it set up for dual fuel, so I will be running E85 and methanol this time. E85 primarily on the street, but methanol when I really want to throw some boost at it. This probably stands out to you guys the most. This is the new airbox setup. This is completely mandatory on a single cylinder setup if you want it to work. What I like about it even better this time around is I actually have my gas cap flat back. That was one thing that I always thought looked cleaner on the new Yamaha bikes, is how you don't see a gas cap anymore. But unfortunately with my last turbo setup, even though it was fun, it looked really ghetto to me because this gas cap was always visible. But granted, that setup was merely just a test to see if it was even worth the time and energy doing a refined turbo setup on this bike. So yeah, you can see down there I even got some like maybe like some room for like a candy bar or two up in this area. But you can actually see the turbo piping running in front of the tank right here. It's pretty tight, but everything does clear oddly. So but first and foremost, fitment on point. Let me give you guys another small walk around of the bike. See the fuel system right there, that's all tucked in. New mechanical oil pump, or turbo oil return pump. Obviously my FT550 fuel tech. This is going to be a game changer on this setup. Man, I gotta say, I thought I was going to miss the other down pipe that came out the side of my last turbo setup, but I think this one might actually be topping that one a little bit. You see that fitment is on point. Super sturdy. It's not flexing at all. But yeah, I gotta say, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with it. Actually retained the internal gate this time. Mock-up motor for people that keep asking why I'm missing this side cover. sit on it for you guys. So as you can see, I'm like all the way up on the seat. This new setup doesn't affect you know, rideability for whoever's on it at all. So I'm kind of like as far forward as I can go. Even with the blow-off valve right here, this still doesn't affect rideability at all. This is actually a lot more further forward than I would normally sit. But yeah, it feels pretty good. Even with my leg right here, you can still get a glimpse of that turbo wheel. That was actually the most important thing. And it feels good. It actually feels really good. The dash is in a nice, comfortable position. But yeah, overall, I'm happy with this. But anyways, I'm actually going to rip the seat off for you guys and show you the inner workings to give you a better idea of how everything is routed. And yeah, it'll just be a lot easier to explain once I get the seat off. So give me a minute. I'm going to pop the seat off, side cover, and then we'll take a look at it. All right, so now I got the seat off, and this will give you guys a little bit of a better view of how everything is routed and plumbed. So obviously I got the turbo right there with the internal wastegate. I actually decided to stick with the internal wastegate this time around because it just makes things a lot more compact, and I don't have to package a external wastegate because it's not really a good place to put it on this system. It gets really tight up in here, and I needed to retain as much real estate as possible. So you can also see, get back on this side of the bike, the charge pipe right here. So that basically just wraps around the coil spring, comes up through here. This is the black pipe right here. We had to flatten it a little bit. I mean, it's nothing major, but you know, or I should actually probably say we had to oval it a little bit right up here just to clear this frame rail. And then this is where it really got tight right up in here under the tank area. So we have it running on top of the valve cover with clearance, and then we have it running underneath this tank mount right here. And then this is the coupler right here. Let me grab the boost box. And then this is the new boost box right here. Okay, so for the people that aren't too well versed on the single cylinder stuff, this stuff has kind of like its own unique nature. So with the single cylinder, you want to run one of these boxes. It's almost mandatory, or it is mandatory. So this actually acts as a boost reservoir, or a lot of people actually refer to it as an air capacitor. And the rule of thumb with this is you usually want this to be about 4 to 5 times the cc of the engine. So in my case, I got a 450 cc engine. And I actually measured the volume of this airbox with a Pyrex, and it came out to about 2600 cc. So in my case, that'll be perfect. I actually got more than what I need. So yeah, this pretty much is, show you the underside. This is V-banded on the bottom, and then the inlet tube is right there, shaped like a J. I actually got to get this powder coated, but I just painted it for the time being. But yeah, you can see, let me see if it'll pick it up. I got a V-band welded onto my KTM throttle body. This is actually another upgrade that I did with this new setup. Is actually, let me boot up the fuel tech and I'll show you guys. So you can see the fuel tech is up and running. And see if I can get this in one shot. So this is an electronic throttle body from a 2018 KTM 390 Duke. It's 46 millimeters, and it was actually pretty easy to integrate. because Fuel Tech actually they have a throttle body repository, so it basically stores all the cals for like your common drive-by-wire throttle bodies. So this one in particular is a Delorto 46 millimeter, and luckily they had a cal already for it in the Fuel Tech software. So pretty sweet, works pretty good. You can see the TPS value right there as I'm actuating the throttle. Something else really nice about this is you can actually go down a little bit, pedal throttle. You can actually change the throttle cal based on how you ride. So you can have it when the bike's or the engine is cold, you can have it operate slowly, so it'll, even though you might snap the throttle really fast physically, it'll actually slowly ramp the throttle open so the power comes in more gradually. And then you could have it like ultra aggressive to where you could physically move it to about 50% throttle on the actual handle, but the throttle will go to 100% with only 50% input. So you can get really creative with this. This is actually like one of my favorite additions so far with the new setup. But yeah, it's pretty sweet for the most part. Yeah, so this box actually mounts in the stock location. I am going to put the bike back together mid-video to show you guys the fitment of this, but it actually turned out really good. Basically just mates to that inlet flange on the throttle body, and yeah, it fits perfect. You can also see the dual injector setup that I'm running this time. So I got a primary and a secondary injector. Secondary works off of boost pressure. The primary injector is actually a 75-pound injector from FID, or Fuel Injector Development. Shout out to Tom Sewell over there. Second time getting me together on my bike project. And then the secondary injector is also Tom Sewell's injector. It's a, I want to say like a 220-ish pound injector. So yeah, that injector is mainly for when I put the bike on methanol. I do have it set up to run methanol this time around, but I will primarily run E85 on the street. So it'll be pretty sweet having that dual fuel option this time around. Yeah, and on the boost box, you can see I'm actually running a TurboSmart V-Port Pro blow-off valve. The funny part is I'm actually just now noticing that this matches this like baby blue line in the graphics. So I actually didn't plan that, but I just thought that was funny. But yeah, yeah, this new setup should make a lot of turbo noises for you guys that actually watch my riding vids. All right, and now you guys can get a good look at the hot side. I actually used Schedule 10 piping this time around. I took a stock YZ 450 header and basically mangled it for the stock exhaust flange, and then just basically built off of that. Shout out to Kevin Chapin. He actually helped me out on the fab work with this new setup, because it is a lot more tight fitting than my last one, and it was mandatory to make everything tuck within the frame rails, and I would say he nailed it pretty good. And then if you pan around, you see I got a V-band right here on the actual turbine housing. And then you can see the wastegate actuator. That is actually really close to the mount for the turbo, but it isn't touching. And then you guys can see the new exhaust pipe. Came out really great. Still got to drill this and put a bung for the wideband O2 though. And turbo is actually being held up by a Maven mount. This is one of their T25 mounts. Shout out to Jared over at Maven Performance. Mount worked out perfect. It's actually this is just a temporary fitting I have in here right now, but this actually acts as a turbo drain and a turbo mount as well. I am setting this up with a exhaust back pressure sensor. So if I pan around over here, you can see I already got that wired. One of these is for oil pressure, which I'll be tapping into in the back of the cylinder head. Yeah, you can't see it, but it's one of the oil ports up here. And then this other Y connector right here will be for the exhaust back pressure, and I'll probably tap into that like on this side of the hot side. The fuel system setup is also something that has changed with the new setup this time around. So actually, I don't have it in front of me, but swapped out the stock YZ450 pump. I was actually quite surprised at how far it took me on the last setup. But this setup, I kind of went overkill with everything. So I actually swapped it out with one of AEM's Razor turbo pumps. I want to say this pump has around, I think like 245 liters per hour. But yeah, this should be way more than sufficient for what I'm trying to do on this setup. Yeah, so other than the fuel pump, I'm also using the same regulator I used on my last setup. So this is a Racetronics boost reference regulator. And for you guys that don't know what that means, this port right here would basically tie in into this manifold. I haven't put the port on it yet, but this regulator basically sees boost pressure, and for every pound of boost pressure, it bumps the fuel pressure up 1 psi. So it's a 1-to-1 relationship. So, and then out of the regulator, obviously have a fuel pressure regulator, or a fuel pressure sensor. Also have that tied into the fuel tech, and that's something that the dash will display. And then out of the regulator, I have 2 separate lines coming from a Y connection, and each of those lines basically goes up to their own respective injector hat. So I would like to make, I want to say like around maybe 150 horsepower with this setup. Even if it comes to me finding the limit of the new motor. This one is just the mock-up in the bike right now. So I know a lot of people on my post, they keep asking why I don't have like a counter shaft and stuff, but yeah, this is just the mock-up motor, and this is what we use to build the new turbo kit. So, and the funny part about the ignition system this time is this is actually my new ignition coil right here. This is actually a GM LS based coil. I'm not sure if the camera is picking that up. This coil actually comes off of a 2012 LS3 Corvette. It's pretty funny because like I've always been an LS guy, and I never thought that I would be running LS based stuff even on my dirt bike. So it's pretty cool. I have to get a custom wire made for this to go to the cylinder head where the stock spark plug boot goes. But that's something else that I plan on taking care of later on. And just to recap on the electrical system, this time around I'm actually running a Moto Gadget Mo Unit Blue. This is basically a smart PDM, or I guess you can call it the brains of the electrical system. So that is exactly what this is right here. fully programmable. I can actually control the entire bike through my phone, through their app right here, and this will focus. You can see like all the individual circuits right here. I'll actually probably have to add a snippet of me controlling these circuits wirelessly through the phone, because my battery just died. This is actually just a test mock-up battery. That's why it looks a little ghetto. I normally run an anti-gravity, but I loaned it to a friend. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, I'm running this time around. This thing has some really cool features. I actually did my an entire new harness setup just for the installation of this. You can see I got it broke off into 2 different bulkheads. Everything that is Deutsch based, so you can see you got some thinner gauge wires here, thicker gauge wires here. This is actually the output side, so this side is basically supplying power to everything that I'm running on the bike electrically. And then you have the input side right here. This is basically the control side to tell things to turn on and turn off. And same thing with the unit itself. Right here you got the output side, so this is actually sending power, and this is actually giving commands right here. So, and then this is something that I was also troubleshooting, so usually looks a little bit neater than that, but I'll take care of it at a later time. Pan around to the front of the bike. Also redid the engine side as far as harness goes. So you see I got the IAT sensor right here. I actually still have to put a bung in the bottom of this air box for the sensor, but yeah, I plan on doing that this week. And then let's see what else we got under here. E85 flex fuel sensor right there. That's all hooked up and ready to go, already wired in. So now I'll actually know what the ethanol percentage is with each batch of fuel that I fill up with. You can see this little elbow right here. This is actually welded straight to the throttle body with a billet collector flange that bolts to the cylinder head. So this is still fully removable. So yeah, the only thing from this point on forward is pretty much just waiting on the motor. Like I told you guys in previous videos, I did go with a WR transmission this time. All the gears, basically the entire transmission has been rim finished, so it should shift like butter. But yeah, O-ring cylinder head, getting some turbo cams from Webb Camshaft. I actually bumped the compression this time, so I'm running 13.8 to 1, but I will still be running E85, so that helps a lot. But yeah, I'll try to update you guys as I go along. There are a few more things that I have to finish wiring wise, but it's like really small stuff. Just the speed sensor in the rear, and then yeah, actually I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, just stay on the lookout for my new videos. I have been posting a lot of reels on Instagram lately, probably continue to do so. You guys got any questions, leave them in the comments. Anything, leave them under my pictures on Instagram, wherever you guys follow me at. So yeah, I guess until next time, this thing might actually be starting up for the first time next video I post. So stay on the lookout, and please share, comment, and subscribe and like. Thanks.